Good morning. Let's see what we got today. Keen on our second leading gainer, 500,000 share float. Some ascending resistance there, possibly. I'm trading in this channel. That's a nasty rejection there. 642. And then we've got RDAC. Higher priced. Is that blue sky above 23? 23.99. Is this an IPO or a symbol change? Morning, everyone. I see the blue sky on this. I'm wondering if this is a symbol change or not, but morning, human. See Tenon coming back up here. here. But the problem is potential ascending resistance, and this thing just had a big rejection, so another no news stock. Morning momentum trader. Ideally, I would like something fresh. That's not another no news pop and drop stock. Morning, Youngie. Chimera. Yeah, execution is really fast in a simulator. It'd be nice to be right next to the New York Stock Exchange or right next to the NASDAQ building on fiber internet with light speed. Hotkeys don't work pre-market? Maybe they'll release an update for that, because that doesn't seem like that's right. Even limit order hotkeys? Because if it's market orders, then it probably wouldn't work. But yeah, it needs to be both extended hours and limit orders for. Really? That's weird. I wonder why they would do that. It's a pretty big move on IPST yesterday during regular hours. 6 all the way up to 25. Wow. Came halfway back down. This popped through high, broke that ascending resistance. Is it gonna false breakout? I see enough bidders down there, so I'm gonna take a position with a stop of 12. Looking for the squeeze on this 1 minute micro pullback up to 1250, 13. So yeah, I just have to stop out. I thought maybe it would bounce off of that ascending resistance for a second there, But I thought that this was going to be a 1 minute micro pullback. We bounced, did an ABCD pattern, popped up. Okay, so the high is 1233. Is it going to come back up and break through 1233? I'm really not sure what to think of this price action because this is the only thing in focus right now. There's not really anything else moving that's worth paying attention to. This just broke high of day and ascending resistance. It did a 1 minute micro pullback and it's still not pulling away. Like it's a little bit extended, but it's a higher priced stock. Um, these do have the potential of going parabolic. We're almost like we're close to tiny gap here almost. It has another ascending resistance. But it pops up and then gets shoved back down with a burst of selling. So I think I just need to wait for something fresh. It's not a a Chinese stock this time, but morning Feeney. Morning Drews. What I'm thinking is that I'm going to have to start anticipating moves rather than getting in at the top and then dealing with this projection action. Heavily shorted, former supernova. Just because your broker doesn't give you fast execution? What do you mean? Trade Zero gives decent execution. This was definitely a part of my setups. You know, this wasn't a FOMO trade. I waited to see if it held over that over 12 and that ascending resistance. I see Chimera is posting another ascending resistance. But you know, even if there was another one, then I think that it had had a good chance of breaking through and going higher. But I think it's just the market that we're in. We're being heavily shorted off of high of day. So I think the key is going to be to start anticipating moves rather than getting in at the top where short sellers are more active. As the Chinese stock, 30 million investment, lower relative volume. I have 155. Pop and drop market. Yeah. U-shaped elements. Think about buying the candle that makes a new high. Anticipating means more buying a dip. Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it, and I tend to have more success anticipating what it's going to do and buying a little bit earlier rather than buying the new high and getting in too high. Ross talked about this a couple of times, where he tends to anticipate first candle to make a new high rather than getting in and reacting to what's going to happen. You anticipate what's going to happen, and then you get a better cost basis. But so confirmation does come with a price. But at the same time, it could keep you out of a lot of trouble in a cold market if you're waiting for first candle make a new high, you wait for it and then you get confirmation. But at the same time, sometimes these stocks are getting yanked right as first candle makes a new high. Like if this breaks 140, like high of this candle is 139, sometimes they get yanked at like 143. Like it makes a new high by like 2 or 3 cents and then they just get yanked backwards, and then you're kind of stuck with a higher cost basis. Justice says that he only makes a few cents more. I think it's a few cents more in either direction though, because if you get in like 10 cents lower, right, to anticipate, then your cost basis is 10 cents better. So if you ended up getting in, like if you were to buy first candle to make a new high and you got in 10 cents higher and it suddenly gets yanked, right? Then you don't have that 10-cent buffer to get out of the position. So once again, using this example, if you get in at 140 for first candle to make a new high, it gets yanked down to 135, you don't have that cost basis buffer. You're going to lose 5 cents. Whereas if you got in at 135 to anticipate first candle to make a new high and it gets yanked, then you might be able to get break even or maybe down a couple of cents with slippage. Just an example on a penny stock. It's not as good of an example because it doesn't have as big of a range. I mean, this is my opinion after trying and doing first candle to make a new high for a long time. That once I've started anticipating the moves, I've generally had better performance. But I think the better performance also comes better in a hot market. So I'm still not sure what to do during a cold market. If I should wait for confirmation, like anticipating on these yanks, for example, like if I bought first candle to make a new high here, so 1235, 1233, 1233, there would be no first candle to make a new high. So I wouldn't have got lost. Like I wouldn't have stopped out on this trade. But at the same time, right, if you buy first candle to make a new high down here, high is 1212, you get in at 1223 and then you get yanked all the way back down. So it kind of like when you buy first candle to make a new high, you're technically getting in on false breakouts sometimes, is what I'm trying to say. Whereas at least if you anticipate it, then you have a little bit of a buffer if you do get stopped out. PL popping. First pullback. What is the news on this? Software. Popping tail. Don't see any news. What you notice is if it breaks the high, but it moves slow past it, it rejects. Will rip through super fast. Gotta anticipate. So that's the problem that I had is if I was waiting for first candle to make a new high, I was consistently getting in 10 cents higher than first candle to make a new high because the tape is moving so quickly. It breaks, and then it goes up like 10, 20 cents instantly. By the time I press the button, I'm way far away from support. T9 has a macro sized U. Yeah. I thought that perhaps maybe this would be a short squeeze because we had a bunch of shorting off of this level, right? And then it came back up. And then usually when it breaks the highs after a big rejection like that, it tends to go from what I've seen, but like when you have an obvious pivot level, an obvious level that it just rejected off of, which was $12, and then it breaks $12. But I suppose since it broke 12 and then went sideways, it should have immediately just had a short squeeze rather than go sideways like this. EMA 9 is support, yeah. So, I mean, this is another Chinese no news stock with lower than 5 relative volume because it had a big move back here. And we're on the back side of it. I think probably a no trade. Ideally, I'd like something fresh. No, we got minute 30 to 7:30. Entertainment regains NASDAQ compliance. Well, that's not exciting. Also had a 8 million volume day recently. Yeah, I miss the stocks with news too. I think the Chinese team might be exhausted here. I hope. Otherwise, she is going to be laughing all the way to the bank. This is sort of doing an ABCD pattern, but with a bunch of topping tails. Chinese stock, no news. Backside of this move. At this point, with how many red trades I've had, I kind of need to wait for something A quality. Probably shouldn't even taken that trade on TNON. Like it was our leading one of our leading gainers, but still didn't have news. Yeah, it took some adapting for me too. When June happened and we had all those Chinese stocks popping everywhere, probably would have been better just to ignore the fact that there was no news and then jump in on the micro pullbacks. It would have came out green. But once the theme is exhausted, then you gotta start paying attention to news again. DAT Bitcoin strategy was always a good bet. Is Bitcoin coming back up? Big sell off, going sideways. Like it's still on downtrend. Is US oil doing? Going up. S&P 500 is still going down. Do you guys think that the S&P 500, the direction it's moving, if it's moving positive or it's going down, has a correlation with the small cap market? I know it does with the large cap market. But sometimes I notice that like we're having this choppy period as the S&P 500 is falling and going sideways. Trump. No Nasdaq, yes. The advisory board of UMAC? I don't remember that specifically, no. Whenever I see this popping in my head, I'm tired, boss. I'm tired of getting in on these false breakouts. Stop. Just fail. This is going to be the one that rips up to 15 when I don't take it. Like if I look at my trader view, reports, details, market behavior. Looks like apparently I'm doing better when SPY is going down than going up. But my results aren't really, might not be consistent. Looks like I generally do better when SPY is gapping up for the day. If I gapped up in the morning, I do better. I don't know. It doesn't seem to have very, very consistent results. No, my results are very typical. I'm losing money. So is this, if I draw the second trend line, is this up here? This ascending resistance now? I think Ross I think Ross sees the writing on the wall with market sentiment. He knows that he can't trust the high, the breakout up here. Like let me open up and see. He probably knows that this isn't to be trusted. Ross is very good at reading market sentiment because he's been doing it for 20 years. So he is good at switching gears when he needs to. Yeah, he hasn't taken a trade. I think if I'm gonna be for real here, Ross's strategy is extremely difficult to trade. this small cap strategy because sentiment can change on a dime and you need to be able to adapt to it. That's why Ross tends to have better results because he has many strategies. He has many setups. And when one setup isn't working, he's good at reading sentiment and going to another setup that is working. So beginners tend to have difficulty replicating that. So right now, these breaks of hive day are not working, so I have to be better at anticipating what a stock is going to do before it reaches the highs. I think that's the way to trade this kind of sentiment. Morning, Jonan. I get that question a lot, so I'm not going to answer it in detail. But I think his assessment is somewhat accurate, but it's missing some of the things like the fact like where Ross makes most of his money is on parabolic momentum. I don't really like answering that question very much anymore because if I say it too many times, people are going to think I have a bad opinion of Ross, and I don't. But he does get a little bit of a tailwind, but his most of his money is made in areas where the tailwind doesn't matter. But a lot of his education is good. Oh, you got some after hours trades, momentum trader? Nice. But welcome to the stream, Jonan. You're in on mRNA. Doesn't this have a 360 million share float? I see it made a huge move, 63 all the way up to 100. That's kind of crazy. Definitely outside of Ross's normal price and float range though. But I see it has a bull flag pattern on the way up. On the 1 minute, has a bunch of micro pullbacks on the 10-second. Morning, Tex. No, lots of choppy price action. Took a trade on Tenon at the highs and then it got yanked. Ross, no trade still. during regular market hours. I would really like to cast a wider net. Like if I were able to go full-time trading, quit my 9 to 5, I would like to cast a wider net than just small caps. And then if something is working in particular more than the other, like one strategy, and then I would lean in on that. I probably wouldn't stop trading small caps, but I would like to see if I were able to trade some market open strategies, if I would do better with that than small caps. I just don't have an option to right now. Not to mention that if I were to trade like large caps or futures or options, I would need a bigger account size, probably. And small caps is a place where you can kind of grow a small account easier. Yeah, I guess Trade Zero does give me extra leverage for large caps. Like I don't get any leverage for small caps because they just don't allow it, but I should have 3 times leverage on large caps. I would have to trade a different strategy in a simulator though. The more technical nature of futures, I would like to trade a market that has a proven edge. I'm not sure if futures does or not. I would have to look into the different strategies that actual traders are trading and pick one. The only thing I worry about trading with large caps and futures is that I'm competing with high frequency trading algorithms. So I'd like to know that I'm not wasting my time if I'm trying to learn something. Like I watched a couple of futures traders, they're in a trade and then suddenly price just gets like bottom wicked on them as they just sweep liquidity. Or there's a Trump tweet and um, they just suddenly get murdered on fills. They get stopped out. I see this continuing, but no news Chinese stock on the backside of this move. Like I feel like I'm in a very odd place with my trading right now. I'm confident that I have the discipline and whatnot to do whatever I need to do, but I need to either continue gaining experience in the market to not trade the stuff that's getting me in trouble. I need to filter the bad setups from the good setups. Or, if I cast a wider net, then maybe I can find a strategy that would suit me. I think small caps does suit me because I'm capable of doing it. Sometimes it feels irrational, some of this price movement. I know it is irrational, the market is irrational. But maybe it just takes a long time to get a reading. Like we were doing good for 3 weeks, where I was confident that I was starting to get in a groove here with these micro pullbacks, and then market sentiment shifts, and now we have a bunch of these topping tails up here. So now I gotta adapt. So what do we trade now? We kind of have to wait and see, like, what are we trading now? Like, what is happening? Like this ends up being an okay bull flag pattern. But according to all of the stocks I've traded in this past week, buying on this high of day here would get me in trouble. And this is not an A quality setup. I mean, I think I'm doing the right thing by leaving this alone, but it is a little bit annoying to see it go here. Everything changed when you started taking entries off of pullbacks of the 90 EMA or VWAP. Mm, VRAC's popping up. What is this doing? Like, I can see that it is holding 9 EMA on this stock very well. It's very obvious. Pops up, pulls back, holds it, curls back up, pops down again, holds it, and this previous high. Trading ETFs. Any stock cancel all prep. We do in the intuition we have. You messed up, Akko? I messed up too. You're you cut back to one entry bull flag. So you trade only the bull flag? Do you trade it on the 10-second? On the 1 minute bull flags are like rarely working now. Feels like. I see VRAX moving. Um, I mean, this is another no news stock, right? 100,000 shares of volume. It's moving quickly. So, considering we're increasing in volume and we're at 50% now, well, looks like it's dumping anyway. No FOMO. No FOMO. Good name. What is going on with this? In a gap. 18. It's got a higher flow. 26 million. No news. If this is a higher float, it's probably also easy to borrow, isn't it? Not easy to borrow. VRAX sold off. Like, I think the best thing to do when we're having a pop and drop type of price action is you just take your hands off the keyboard and you sit and you wait and you do nothing until you get something with news that holds up. That's the way that I've treated these type of pop and drop cold markets. Because I mean, this is what we're having now, right? Is we're having stocks that are breaking highs but aren't moving higher. Traders aren't willing to jump into them. So, but they are willing to jump into something that is on the front side of the move when it has a fresh catalyst, or I mean, sometimes no news. Traders are willing to jump on the front side. But I think it's just I think we're just hands off until we get something that we're confident in jumping in as it's squeezing up. Yeah, I mean, it keeps your hands warm and it's doing double duty, right? And it keeps you from getting in bad trades. So you know what? Well, we can call my trade from this morning a sucker trade. I was a sucker, and now I'm red 18. So now we have to stop being a sucker and just wait. I got ripcorded, just like I did yesterday. What was this? This has news. SKK awarded 6 new horizontal contracts, 26 million. You know what they say? Sucker play gives sucker pay. How long am I going to stay on training wheels? Well, I suppose that's like asking when I'm going to go, while I'm still learning to earn my driver's license, if I'm going to go run in or I'm going to go drive in NASCAR. If I do that, I'm probably going to end up smashed into a wall like a bug. I gotta continue with my training wheels until I can verify that I'm not gonna just blow my entire account. I have no idea how long that's gonna be. But we're mastering the art of showing up every day. We've mastered that art. Show up every day, and eventually, small small learning will compound over time. Then one day we'll look up and find that we're ready. We've earned it. A YOLO move? You mean like if I full port, I just go full port on a top gainer to make a video out of it? 44. We're actually holding the 20 EMA down here with higher volume buying than selling. $163. It somewhat seems like we got some good market reaction to this. The high was about 750. All right, well, I guess not. YJ continuing to move? That's pretty surprising. I probably would never do that, no FOMO. Like I would never compromise my account just for views. I'm here for the process, not for the fame or recognition or whatever. So I'm probably not like I'm never gonna go out of my way to do something stupid just to get clicks and views. It's just not on brand for me. Clicks and views aren't the goal to financial freedom for me. It is the success in trading. Even worse, if I actually did catch a 600% runner, I'd be like, "Oh my god, I got to do it again." What if I could do it again? I did it once, I could do it again. That's how the gamblers hook themselves. They get one big win, doing going all in. Ross isn't trading nothing. He's doing something else. He has zero trades. Da, da. Scott Scott Go. Well, I think I'm in that Discord, in that same Discord. I mean, I could look at it, but I don't really see most of these scanners from what I've seen, there's not really much of a reason to upend what I have just for the scanners. Like the scanners right now aren't the limitation. So this is continuing to break through. Continuing to grind. That daily level's at 420. Um, I watched part of it. He does like curling pattern stuff, right? Just likes curling patterns. It was a long time ago that I watched it though. He likes wick reclaims and stuff. Hmm. This is starting to move a little bit faster, but is it extended now? Like this is now our top leading gainer, but is it going to close with a shooting star candle? Nice job, Feeney. It's really hard for me to justify taking a position on this stock because it's Chinese stock with no news. It's on the backside of a big move. Had relative volume a lot earlier into the move. Now it has a lot more relative volume because it's been continuing to grind up on bigger share size, bigger volume. It was moving really slowly for a long time, kind of grinding up here. It only just pulled away as it broke through 4. And we already took one loss for the day. So I'm hoping that we get an A quality setup at like 8:30 or something where we get a fresh news catalyst that I can take advantage of. Nice job, Bullseye. Sometimes I have to think like a short. I mean, I do try to think about where shorts will get squeezed out, but no, Ross doesn't want to trade it because we're on the backside of this move from August 7th. And we're grinding. So it's moving slowly. Yeah, I'm a Warrior Trading member. I learned most of my knowledge from him. The heck? I opened up Instagram because I'm bored. I had my volume on. EHGO? Is this fresh? No, it's not. Although, yeah, my phone down. Has kind of a flat top above 250. Does have news. All right. Financial services, asset managed, leveraged. It looked like it was moving fast, but it's not actually. YJ. Okay, this is starting to squeeze. That's a big pop. But it comes down back to 520. And the high was around 6. It's almost 8:30. I mean, if this keeps moving, it is extended, but if it keeps moving like this, then shorts are going to get squeezed out. But big sellers up at 6. Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to manage risk. Look at that. Break 6 comes all the way back down. False breakout up here. Yeah, it does. Looks nice. No, Ross hasn't taken any trades. Like I'm really, I'm really trying to wait for something fresh because I don't want to trade B quality setups if we're in a market where B quality setups, like there isn't sentiment for it. But then we have a no news Chinese stock like move 200%. It's like it's price action that I can't predict really. Like why is this up 200%? Thanks, Tex. Yeah, 5-minute breakouts are part of my setups. Um, for sure. EHGO. Low is 265. Hmm. This did do an ABCD on this 10-second pattern, but it's cheaper price, $2. And it wasn't a fresh setup. It did break high and move up, but been going sideways all day. Wasn't sure if that would work. Is this gonna break 3? Nice job, Volvo. $650. Wow. Look at that 70,000 share seller at 3. It breaks. Interesting. To hold 3. Low of that 1 minute candle was 298. Like it did an ABCD, and the best entry would have been the ABCD, but I saw a 70,000 share seller up there. I was just kind of grinding. It technically does, but it has to curl back up first. We have 30 seconds left on that 5-minute candle. YJ is curling. These are all grindy. Sorry to hear that, Baco. Yeah, I can see how the 5-minute touched the 9 EMA. Kind of interesting. Green is good indeed. I'm trying to be as patient as I can to find the best entry. But morning, Jaden. $8:47 is my time. It's Eastern Standard, same as the market. So we now have a pivot on YJ if this continues holding at about 575. So, I mean, this is now our top leading gainer. If it curls back up and breaks 575 with MACD turning positive, then I should probably take a position on it for the squeeze back up to high of day. We'll see what happens with it though. I mean, my time is on the screen, but I can't really avoid giving out my time. Morning flip-flop. Yeah, you did wake up late. It's already almost only 40 minutes to market open. I am from Canada. Yeah, I mean it has the same problem that I've been having all day is that none of these have new like catalysts that I'm interested in. I'm trying to be patient for A quality opportunities now. YJ I'll make an exception for here if MACD curls positive and it breaks 575 because it's an obvious setup. Is our top leading gainer. It's already been moving quite a bit. So see what happens with it here. If it doesn't crawl back up, then there's no trade on it. But I'm trying to wait for something with news. Something with news that's moving quickly, not grinding. 'Cause we already got the ripcord yanked out from us once today. I really want it to happen again. Never been to Montreal. One of my friends lives in Montreal. Probably would like to visit there someday. Ooh. All right, let's see. Does it get bought up or does it dump off of the 477 level? Oh, really? Orange cone hell. There's some places in Canada, like most places in Canada, are pretty wide open. So you have a lot of, like, it's easy to move through traffic, but specifically in a couple of places like Toronto and Montreal, everyone is just jam packed. I see EHGO curling. That high was 320. The 200 moving average is at 466. The 26,000 share seller at 305. And they got out of the way. We're grinding up here. Yeah, EHGO is a little bit choppy. It did have a somewhat of a pullback there on the way up on the curl. So could have got a 20-cent scalp. And Mara got it. It is 9, so I'm watching for news. I mean, FEMY is some news. FDA approval news. 7 million share float. No volume. Okay, YJ is curling a little bit. MACD's close to curling positive. Yeah, for the past few weeks, I mean, no news um hasn't been a limiting factor, but I feel like as we're starting to have this choppy price action, no news is going to start to become exhausted, like this Chinese stock no news theme. Like we just had this 92% move on this Chinese stock just now, so maybe not, but everything's been super choppy. So MACD is very close to curling positive. It's just a $2,000 account. It's nothing crazy. Watch where the money goes. Nope, it's Charts Watcher. How did that happen? What? GLMD 750%? What happened here? Oh, it's a recent reverse split. I see. Piano N coming back up. Or is this the next Chinese stock? The no news Chinese stock to go haywire or what? Only up 20% right now. Low relative volume. Find where the volume's going. Does this have descending resistance? So I'll take a position here for the squeeze up. It was going to be about 575. Okay. Big rejection. So is this going to curl back up, I wonder? Or what is this going to do? Yeah, it broke the trend line, and then the best entry was down at 5 for sure. Or as it was squeezing up at around 550. I entered for the break of 574, got filled 20 cents higher, and then it bounced off of high of day and rejected. And I didn't take profits because I was thinking that this could squeeze, but I just wasn't fast enough to take profits. Yeah, I was up like 15 bucks. But I didn't think it would. I thought that it would hold 575 considering the strength that we had in this move. I thought that it would um like do a cup and handle formation and then maybe break through. I didn't expect it to pull all the way back below 575 because 575 was this level of support here. And keep in mind as well, I'm trying to go for 2-to-1 risk reward. And you know, I ended up getting it at 590. Stop was about 575, so maybe about 25-30 cents. I was looking for the squeeze through, which had been about 50 cents. Ideally, I should have gotten in lower, like I should have gotten in closer to 575, and then I would have been able to take profit up near high of day, but I need to look back at my VOD to see if there was an exit indicator there. Like if there was a big seller that popped up in the level 2. I don't think I particularly saw a big seller in the level 2. But that's why I didn't expect it to just bounce off of 620 and then it, you know, come all the way back down $1 a share. I think the better thing to do would have been to anticipate this move for that trend break. MACD cross, we had that trend break, then we had the retest of the 9 EMA, and it started moving quickly. I should have gotten in lower, is what I should have done. 0.5 million share float. FDA approval news. Tweezer top. 333. So what does this do? I mean, this is up 45%. Got room on the daily. Hmm. The problem is that YJ is kind of moving at the same time as this. So is this going to be dispersed attention? Got a flat top of around 586, 585. We're getting closer to market open. Have a good day, human. We've got a green hammer candle forming on the 1 minute on YJ. Let's see what it does. Yeah, we've got a pivot up here above 586. If it continues to hold and curl, then I think that this could retest high of day. I'll take a position, stop of 6. Looking for the squeeze through. Oh, that's a really nasty one. That's it. That's enough for me for today. Holy smokes. And it curls back up anyways, which is infuriating. I'm gonna have to size back down, I think, tomorrow. Because we're in the struggle bus now. These rejections are super nasty. We're not bag holding though, we just cut it. Yeah, Ross took it and he held through the entire pullback, whereas I just cut it. Like this is an obvious pivot level above 586, right? It pops up, pulls back, and then as it's holding, I buy for the squeeze, looking for the breakthrough high of day. Then it does a nasty jackknife back down. Let's see. Let me look back at it. 922.43. I was right here, right? Yeah, on this candle right here. Trying to anticipate the break of high of day and the squeeze higher. And I mean, I understand your guys' good intentions about like buying at the 9 EMA and stuff. I would like have to adjust my entire strategy to accommodate that. So it's not something that I can just apply immediately, right? Right now I have a process and I can't go adjusting my process midstream. And we had 3 good weeks of success with that process, and we've been holding break even with the process. The question is like, what changed in this past week that's causing these nasty yanks to happen? And it's maddening. You get in at 620, yanks back, and then it grinds back up, breaks through, goes up to 650. I shouldn't be mad because I follow my process and it still is just not working. Let me read some comments. Let's see. Sorry. So yeah, buy the dip, got in at 577. Down for 3 days. Turned green. Telltale sign was all the topping tails. Yeah, there's a lot of topping tails. Do what you do and go short. Yeah, I'd be up 92 bucks right now if I went short. Well, 100 shares is about quarter size for a $5 stock, and this stock has been kind of grinding all day. Like it doesn't really have that big of a range, right? On most of these candles, it has like a 20 or 30 cent range. It's only on the rejection that it was nasty like that. Like this stock has been grinding up all day in smaller ranges. And so I accepted a 100 share position size for a $5 stock because of that. Normally on a $5 stock, I would even choose like this is half size. Like for a $4 stock that normally has this type of price action, I would even trade 200 shares half size for a $2,000 account. So the $92, it sucks, but it ended up being a $55 loss. My max loss per trade is supposed to be about 40. Like I'm supposed to risk 2% of my account at maximum. So it ended up being bigger than I expected, but uh, it wasn't clean, rejected 5 times, travel longs and shorts. 827, 830, 844. Maybe not. I'm gonna have to think about this. The best way when you get a slap in the face to deal with it is just to go back and reflect. See what you can learn from it. Because this week is a big slap in the face. But we learn best from getting slaps in the face, for sure. By the way, I'm not trading anymore. Hands are off now. So we're just reading comments and thinking. Max loss for me is about $50, so we're almost 2 times our max loss on that last trade. The last trade was almost max loss by itself. Or it was max loss by itself. So, I mean, we tried to be patient all day, waited for something fresh, ignored the front side of the move on YJ, and then we ended up getting in at the top where it's doing nasty false breakouts again. Like, no news Chinese stock. We ignore it all day, right? And then finally we capitulate because we think we see a good setup. And we've seen this in the past few weeks happen several times where the break of the pivot usually sees a big squeeze. So that was my intention. MACD crossed over. We had a break of the pivot. But it's, instead of working, it's just rejecting. So the question is like, do I need to change my process to reflect the bad week this week? Or is it an unlucky week, right? Because one of the problems that I'm aware that one of the problems that beginner traders have is that they have a bad week and then they feel the need to change their process. And if you strategy hop all the time, then you're never going to have consistent results, right? Is it possible that if I continue my process for the next 100 trades that I would still end up green, even though this week is really bad, like $92 today? What was it yesterday? Another $50 or $60 down? Giving back over half of my progress from the past 3 weeks in the positive direction. So, like, what is the solution? Do I continue the process and expect a different outcome over time? Or do I hone in on this week specifically and say, and point to these trades in the past 2 days and say that my process isn't working specifically because I lost $92 today and whatever yesterday? Or do we take a different approach and say that it's market sentiment? Our process had EV during the period of the market where those setups are working, but now we're having rejections off of 5-day constantly. Now it no longer works. So what do I do then? Like, how do I adjust my process as market sentiment changes? Is there a process that is good in all markets? Because, like, yes, I have $92 red day right now. I had $60 red day yesterday. Is there a need to change the process? That's what I need to decide. The market manipulation is so obvious, it's almost satire. Yeah. Um, Small caps is heavily manipulated for sure. But the key is to make sure that you're in on the front side and not the back side of the manipulation. But most of it just, I mean, a lot of this price action doesn't make sense. At the end of the day, you look back at this stock, right? Chinese stock, no news, on the backside of a move after it sold from 13 all the way down to $1. Now it's coming back up today. Came back up today from $1 all the way up to 6.50, almost halfway back. Why? Why did it have clean price action on the way up? And not clean price action once it reached 650? Those are the questions that need answered. Watch topping tails when trying to anticipate squeezes. Influences. 5 minute instead of 1 minute. Tweak the details. So watch topping tails when trying to anticipate squeezes. The only problem that I have, I mean, I've watched a lot of these things before, right? The topping tails, but topping tails have been so frequent recently that if I don't take a trade because of topping tails, um, unless it's a really nearby topping tail, then I would be missing out on a lot of opportunities, I feel like. Like there's a topping tail right here, and it still worked, right? Two topping tails, in fact. I suppose on this front side of the move, like it doesn't look as um, obvious when you zoom it out, but when you zoom in, there's tweezer top here, topping tail here. This is just one example. Like topping tails is something that I do pay attention to. Um, but I kind of tweaked my process to not pay as much attention to them because it feels like sometimes it feels like you're in Vietnam in the jungle, right? And you're thinking all the trees are speaking Vietnamese. You have so many things to pay attention to that you get inside your own mind about, you know, this has too high red volume, like there's too much red volume, there's too many topping tails, like but you talk yourself out of the trade if you take too much into account at once. So what I've been doing as part of my process is I've been focusing on volume bars, try and get out of the habit of being too cautious. See the setup, higher volume buying than selling, take the setup, right? When things get super contextual and there's so many topping tails and there's so many different ways to look at a chart, it becomes difficult to read it if there's too many things to account for. Trade with smaller size first, 1 to 10 shares. Started after hours. Why do we miss RDAC? Did RDAC move? I haven't been watching RDAC. I'm not taking any more trades, so it doesn't matter what this does at this point for me. It did break the trend line when it halted up. But does not matter what any of this stuff does at this point for me. Got out at 1673, but it looks like a false halt. How do I use volume to get in? Well, is there a good example? Like I did on YJ, for example, because stock selection takes precedence over setup selection. But let's say I did take positions on YJ, right? And we have a bull flag pattern here on the 1 minute. We have increasing volume and we have lighter volume buying, or lighter volume selling than buying on the pullback. So if stock selection is good, we have a pattern and we have confirmation on the volume bars. That's when we take a position looking for first candle to make a new high in anticipation for the move, right? That's what I would normally do. I didn't take it here because stock selection takes precedence, and I said no news Chinese stock. Earlier on in the move, we had lighter relative volume, and we're on the backside of this big move. So stock selection says this is a B quality setup, or maybe even a C quality setup, right? So the entire front side of this move is a no trade for me. Even though there's confirmation on the setup and the volume bars, it doesn't matter. Now, by the time it reaches up here, we're already to a point where the relative volume is fine. It's now our top leading gainer. And yes, we've been having Chinese stock with no news type of themes, so maybe the news isn't as relevant. So as we're getting up here, and there is a setup, right? We have the break of the pivot of 574, thinking that if we break that pivot, short sellers might get squeezed out through high of day. If I look at the volume bars for confirmation, on this pullback back here, we had higher volume buying than selling, and then we had a big surge of volume. So that's our confirmation for the break of the pivot. This trade would have been better if I hadn't hesitated and I had just simply bought as soon as it broke the pivot level. But I ended up selling down at 566. If I had bought earlier, maybe I would have had the reaction time to actually scalp some profit up at 6. But it happened very quickly. I was up there very briefly. But I thought that this would actually break through high of day, and it didn't. And so that moment of hesitation between, taking profits or just getting out at high of day or getting out near high of day and the pullback meant that I ended up getting out far below my stop as everyone capitulated on the snap. Fresh movers. Missed PLSM. It's not moving for me. Yeah, this one has the potential to go crazy because it's a potential blue sky setup above 23.99 on RDAC. But it's going to be halting around. Try not to dig deep into ticker. Look at price action, volume, MACD, speed, tape, local resistance. Does my trading view go back that far? Let's see. Almost forgetting where. There we go. I don't know why I was having trouble remembering where that was. Date range, we go back to July 13th. On PLSM. Fresh move during the 7 a.m. session. And this was a stock that had blue sky, right? Yeah, this was a blue sky setup. On July 13th. Or maybe not. Yeah, I mean, theoretically, I could just wait for fresh movers and trade only fresh movers, but I would be filtering out a ton of the opportunities. I mean, yes, fresh movers typically have cleaner price action on the front side here as it's squeezing up. Micro pullback there, micro pullback there, micro pullback there, micro pullback there. So far in this past week, we haven't had any fresh movers. Right? Like I tried waiting the entire day today for a fresh mover and we didn't get one. For example, we had YJ move up 200%. Eventually I capitulated and traded it. Yesterday there weren't any fresh movers either. The only one I could think of yesterday was that one stock that popped up very briefly and then rejected. Please go watch Jess's class. He talks about trading a stock, how it wants to be traded. Yeah, I'll watch his class. I think tomorrow we're gonna size down, and I'm gonna do more studying, and we'll see if we need to either change the process or tweak the process. It might be just a matter of tweaking the stock selection. FEMY was fresh. For the break of 273. FDA approval. $280 up to $330. I think the problem that I had with FEMY was that it was a 7.5 million share float, so it was a little bit higher, not like too high. We had YJ moving at the same time, so there's a little bit of dispersed attention, and this is also a cheaper stock. I think that's the problem that I had with it, which is why I didn't trade it. Cheaper with a little bit of a higher float, so I expected this to be a grindy stock. And in a sense, it was, right? Like it moved from, like it gave a 20-cent move, I suppose, from this pullback here. Bit of a longer pullback, 320, 280. No, I guess that was 50 cents. It's not bad. Like the headline is good though. FDA approval. It just pulled back. At the point where it had higher volume buying here, it's had a nice pullback on the 9 EMA, and then it broke through high of day, 275. Right on this candle close. I was just worried that it was a higher float, cheaper price, and it wasn't up enough on the day at the time to be in traders' focus, but maybe it was. I have to look back at the VOD to see. Float is 2.2 million. You see 7 million. You think the main issue is entering too late? I think that's also a problem, and I've been contemplating like where to get in, right? The reason why I get in on pullbacks is because there's a clear level of support, and it's very easy for me to take a position, know where the support is, which is stop of the low, and then have a idea of my risk reward as I get into the trade. Sometimes when I wait for a pullback that's breaking out, that I have confirmation that the stock is actually moving. Sometimes I'm ending up getting in at the top. So the question is, Like where is the setup that I take that's not too high? That gives me enough conviction that the stock is going to start moving rather than continuing to chop around sideways, right? Because what we want to avoid is getting in on a stock that's just chopping sideways and having me hold my position for an extended period of time in a stock that's just chopping around. My sort of ideology that I take when I'm taking these trades is it doing one of three things? Is it moving quickly? Is it making new highs? Or is it breaking out, as in breaking out of a range? And so with that sort of mindset, usually I'm either waiting for something fresh that's moving quickly and has a fresh pullback, or I'm waiting for something that's breaking out of a range. And by the time it breaks out of a range, and a lot of these stocks are chopping around, consolidating sideways, sometimes that does mean I'm trading at near high of day. So like how do I get the conviction to trade inside the range to anticipate the breakout? That's the question, right? Just because of the low volume this month? It could be. But we want to be able to survive in both a hot market and a cold market, right? The goal is to not be one of those traders that they have a process that works well only in a hot market. So volume might be lower, but we as traders need to survive while we're in a cold market. Maybe our process is a little bit different between the two types of sentiments, but the question is just how to change the process for the current market that we're in. The last YJ trade, the entry was when the stock was already way extended through. $5.25. I mean, there was a breakout of a range, if you call this trend break a breakout. So we had this downtrend, the descending resistance. It broke descending resistance, did a nice pullback. I mean, it would have been a great trade if I had the confidence to buy down here on this pullback and the hold of the trend, hold of the descending resistance. Remove the date range on this. Make my charts weird. But I'm unsure if I haven't seen enough of these examples of trend breaks to know if this is a setup worth getting in on. Like a trend break isn't a part of my setups. Like, do I add trend break to my setup and only trade trend breaks for like this type of curling pattern? I haven't done enough research into it, for example. When you anticipate early, you tend to sell quarter on the pivot point. SKK? What's SKK doing? Holy smokes. 1, 2, 3, fourth halt. Isn't that funny? We have the news come out, it dumps, and then at market open, people realize, oh wait, this is actually good news. Halt, 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 halt. FEMY. Hive day at 9 a.m. 273. Broke hive day at 9:17. Yeah, I was looking at this earlier, but if I'm supposed to get in lower to anticipate the breaks of hive day rather than getting in at hive day, how does this make this different? Because it broke and had a strong resolution? First started in the sim during a hot market. Yeah. See, that's the difficult part of trading small caps. It it heavily depends on market sentiment on whether you're successful with certain setups or not sometimes. Bottom of SKK, low, if you set the lows of the previous moves, it could have been a dip buy. So let me read. Sorry, I'm just checking something. First step, let the stock make that big move up. Second is to mark out high day. I mean, that is a part of my setups. But are you saying you only take those on only fresh stocks? like only if it's fresh with news. Like for example, YJ, or sorry, maybe we'll go back to what, Tnon? Right up here, where I took this trade at 7 a.m. was a break of high of day and a hold of high of day. So it broke, it held, and I was buying to anticipate the move higher. I didn't draw this trend line earlier, so because that trend line is connected with this candle right here. But assuming that trend line was gone, there's a break of high a day, hold, and then anticipating a move higher. Continuation from an after hours. But for example, Phileas says, watch where the volume is going, right? So does it need to be fresh on news if there's a lot of volume? Like was our leading gainer at the time, one of our top 3 leading gainers, breaking through high of day. Like what is the difference between something that is fresh with a catalyst compared to something that, yes, this moved after hours, but technically it's fresh in the sense that it's a leading gainer that a lot of traders are going to have their eyes on. The same way that when you have something popping up that's moving quickly, traders have their eye on it. What is the difference between this with having a lot of volume into the pop at 7 a.m. compared to something that's fresh? Like I feel like I'm missing opportunities if I don't trade leading gainers that are popping through high of day. Granted, this one was a little bit extended, but we have seen leading gainers in the past pop through high of day and make big moves, like big continuation moves. I suppose they work a little bit less frequently, but the question is, do they still have EV? If over a long period of trades, if I trade high of day breaks and holds, or just high of day breaks in general for top leading gainers, do they have positive EV? Fresh catalyst can be explosive, good volume is reliable. You start with small size for break, it has momentum. Look at the price action. Yeah, FEMY, YG, and SKK were all fresh movers. Hmm. Yeah, it's a QTEX. It's a little bit difficult for me to completely change um, my process to start buying like 9 EMA pullbacks, the moving average pullbacks, or like start trading on the 5 minute because those would upend the process that I've already built. And we've spent the past 2 months, well, maybe it's only been a month now, but past few weeks at least, building an opportunities tally and looking at how many missed opportunities there were according to my process, and thinking that based on the price action that I've seen in the past month, that my process works. And then suddenly you get the carpet yanked out from underneath you, right? Between today and yesterday. So like I see what Ross is doing, right? When he traded YJ today, he was trading the same thing that I was trading. He traded YJ on the break of that pivot. I don't know if he ended up being, I think he ended up being green on it because he just held through the entire thing and then sold back up near the highs to that entire nasty rejection, whereas I just cut it before it got any worse. He didn't trade Tinon. I'm not sure if he traded my first trade on YJ or not. I don't know. Yeah, he's been doing that because he has confidence that what he's looking at is going to work based on his intuition, I guess. It works until it doesn't. Exactly. Working, it's working, it's working, and then suddenly it doesn't. mRNA is a great chart to study. Massive float, very good catalyst. Yeah, I saw mRNA moving up just outside of the float range, the price range. Like, I would what? I would have. I'd only be able to buy like 10 shares. What's what were yesterday's trades? Well, yesterday's trades were um like if I switch to this. Well, yesterday's trades were uh, PFSA, PFSA on the break of VWAP, break and retest of VWAP for top leading gainer. Did an ABCD pattern, right? And I bought for the retest of 1150, thinking that we were holding with a pattern. And it just stopped me out. Second trade was XOS, which was a break of 5-day. This was also continuation. The news was a day old. Broke Hive day there at 5. Retested 508, which is the low of the pullback, and I bought for micro pullback on the 10-second for the retest of Hive day. Right? I ended up just scalping out a little bit, being a small winner because it was moving very slowly. There was a wall of sellers at the point that I exited the position. Like right as I exit here, there's a wall of like 10,000 shares. I'm like, no, it's too slow, just get out. Third trade was all the way at exit SXTC. This was also a break of Hive day in a previous daily level. I believe. No, 580. This is this 1 minute candle. All right. I know Ross traded right here. Ross traded this pullback, and that's where that spike came from. He took his position in both of his accounts, so he bought like probably, if I had to guess, probably like 80,000 shares between both accounts. That's how it spiked all the way up there. Yeah, about 80,000. Forcibly breaking it through 580 there. I didn't buy because of the spinning top candle, the higher volume selling candle. But it breaks through, and then I bought the first pullback as it broke through. But I think this was just Ross volume and some retail traders jumping on. It just ends up rejecting. I buy this bull flag here at Hive Day, thinking that maybe we'll retest Hive Day again. And it just rejects. And my last trade was the most frustrating because this was with fresh news. It pops up. Does a couple of pullbacks there, but I don't buy it on the front side because I'm thinking that, you know, the news catalyst, Bitcoin US Treasury strategy, like that's old news. And we had to move the previous day, so relative volume was below 5. But it eventually holds up, moves up 72%. I buy this full flag pattern anticipating first candle to make a new high, and this also rejects, right? Those are my trades yesterday. So we could say this one was technically fresh, sort of. I mean, it was half fresh because it had a fresh news catalyst, but it had a move on the previous day where it sold off. SXTC was Chinese no news. Continuation, I suppose. XOS was the winner for the day. But it was a continuation from a previous day. Oh no, it had, no, yeah, 817 was 1 day old news. And then the first trade on PFSA was just trading a leading gainer that was breaking out, right? Breaking out of VWAP. Expecting a move higher because it was our leading gainer. Those were yesterday's trades. Nice job, small wins. VWAP break is a legit setup, just didn't work. XOS was continuation, no. Trending to a tight time frame, you can end up finding yourself identifying a trend. to actually use stuck in a range at a lower time. I mean, that's a good point. Ranges are, they can be on multiple time frames. So breaking out of a range, that sort of idea that I have that it's breaking out of a range is flawed in a certain sense. SXTC is continuation. Example of a Ross tailwind. Well, I was actually thinking yesterday, like, what are the consequences of someone trading? Like his small account is actually $70,000 now, so he could buy if he buys with all of his buying power on these, you know, $5 stocks. He can buy 10,000, 15, like 11,000, 12,000 shares, 13,000 shares if he's not using leverage. Plus his main account, if he's buying like 60,000 shares, 70,000 shares, kind of like moving money from one pocket to the other. Start using trends, lateral, ascending, and descending. Nice job, Bullseye. 27%. Pretty good. Yeah, of course. Like when you're trading high parabolic, I think SXTC like barely had any volume though. It had like 100,000 shares of volume. The pop that sent SXTC through that high day level was basically all of Ross's shares. So it's an example of a tailwind on stocks that have lower volume, but on higher volume, then it doesn't mean anything. On, like I said before, like on parabolic momentum, where stocks are trading at millions of shares a minute, his volume doesn't really mean much, and that's where he makes most of his money. But I do still think that he does have a little bit of a tailwind on some of these lower volume stocks, where he is the spike, and then retail traders are jumping in after him because they see the spike. Small gains do indeed add up. All right, I think we're gonna shut it down here. We're getting close to 10:30, and I gotta get to work here. So, really unfortunate day. I've cooled off a little bit now. Done a lot of thinking. I'm gonna do more later. Um, Definitely doesn't feel good. I think today is probably the first day where I've actually felt a crack in my emotions. But you know, the key is that I maintain discipline. I have to look back at the VOD and see if I actually hesitated on cutting YJ or not. I think there was a little bit of hesitation in cutting that trade, which is why I ended up with a really bad fill. But I severed it anyways. It is what it is. Can't be a bag holder. Can't be a trader and a bag holder at the same time. Those two things aren't synonymous. So gonna come back tomorrow, trade with quarter size again, and continue tweaking our process until the point that I feel that I can survive in a cold market with it. Because it doesn't mean anything if the process has EV in a hot market and then you come back in a cold market and you lose it all. So we gotta figure out how to deal with that. But thanks, Nestoral. Yeah, have a good one, Ron. Thanks, Kingman. All right, turning off the stream here. I will be back at it again 7 a.m. Eastern time as per usual. Until then, take care, stay green. I'll see you next time. Have a good one, Momentum Trader, Martin.